International Financial Services Center is a jurisdiction set up by the Government of India with the aim of attracting foreign investors as well as Indian investors to make use of a territory which actually benchmarks itself with the rest of the world.
GIFT City or GIFT IFSC is situated inside a special economic zone. So earlier, as you also know, that SEZ Act was passed in 2005, and all this was basically for the manufacturing activities. But now the financial service activities and service activities are being covered after the coming into force of this IFSC and IFSCA.
But IFSC in last 4 years or so, what it has done is set up an institutional arrangement where you have all the entire authority set up with several departments in place, issued almost 29 regulations for various businesses to come in, and almost 14 frameworks have been issued for several businesses to come and operate from IFSC. And this is on a backdrop of many regulations were not existing in India for these businesses, which has also been brought in this frameworks of 29 and 14 frameworks.
So if you go back 5 years, right, especially before GIFT and Global Access, typically you had extremely high brokerage charges. You had remittance fees that were per transaction anywhere between 1,000 and 2,000 rupees. And essentially, if you weren't a multi-millionaire, you couldn't access securities anywhere outside India. Because of global access and because of general improvements in payments infrastructure, you can now do zero fixed cost remittances, and you can access fractional investments, both in GIFT as well as outside GIFT and international exchanges, at a cost such that, it's probably cheaper to invest globally than it is to drink a thumbs up, right, in Nasik.
There are many Indian companies and Indian investors who have actually invested in many parts of the world, but focused on India. So the idea was to actually bring them back. So we call them onshoring the offshore. Today we have a very active verticals in banking, in the insurance sector, in the capital markets, the fund industry, and a variety of other niche areas such as aircraft leasing, ship leasing, etc.
We have considerably reduced the approval process, and things have very smoothly now going on. And especially after coming into force of this SWIFT, that is single window IT system.
IFSC over the period, several new initiatives have been taken. For example, recently they have enabled the arbitration framework here, which is a fantastic development because it, legal certainty is one of the aspects and how to tackle such.
So IFSC as such has a very light touch regulations, which really enables a lot of investors to come to GIFT IFSC. Just to name a few, the cost of transaction is very low. So there is none of these STTs or CTTs or GST which is applicable. There are no capital gains tax from an investor perspective. And it's they do not have the registration for an FPI is or for an investor to really come there is far less cumbersome. So all this really makes it very attractive for some of these guys to. So if I were to put it in a nutshell, it's more of the operational and the cost efficiencies that can really drive the global investors to IFSC as jurisdiction.
Now we have established a BATF regulation, bookkeeping, accounting, taxation, financial crime regulation, in which we are now enabling entities to come here, establish here, and from here they have to serve the world. The new model. Existing some companies are doing from domestic, but from here it becomes more competitive. They become regulated, so they have a better negotiating power.
We saw that around 93% of the bonds which are listed here, they are rated by global CRAs. So there is already an opportunity which is there. So we, during our review of listing regulations, we mandated that all bonds which are listed here should be rated. So that is the first thing which we created for the rating agencies. They have been allowed to do ratings of banking products. They can do ESG ratings, they can do valuation under the fund management scheme, and there are various other opportunities for the CRS. In fact, we have mandated that all the listings which will happen after April 1st of next year, there has to be a mandatory CRA registered with IFSCA, and then they can have another global credit rating agency in case they wish to.
IFSCA also is working on US dollar clearing enablement here. Now, any international financial center, when we compare Singapore or Dubai or London, essentially is about having free exchange with foreign currency, settlement, etc. So these are important developments.
Look, what's happening is that we're seeing very large strides in the regulatory mechanisms, the infrastructure, and the underlying sort of conditions that make GIFT a very attractive investment destination, right?
So India has actually demonstrated how technology can transform payments industry. And now I think probably very shortly, I think it will also lead to transformation of the credit markets as well as the insurance markets, with the regulators in domestic India announcing a lot of plans. We also have an opportunity here to harness fintech for the benefit of such of these 33 million Indian diaspora who live across the world, to invest into India in a different way.
At this point of time, I will say that we are at a very nascent stage. We are probably virtually in our, I will say the early baby stage. But what we are seeing is a lot of international investors, especially from the developed world, whether it is the Americas or Europe or even Far East Asia or Southeast Asia. All these players are now looking up to GIFT City in a large way. So we'll start seeing more and more investment opportunities being able and enabled for these kind of investors. So I'm sure it augurs well, and in fact, in some sense, for the developed world also, accessing India could have never been so easy, because directly accessing India requires them to access a FPI policy, FPI regime, which requires them to create an institutional mechanism. But here we have enabled a lot of other mechanisms like eligible foreign investor, which will also enable individual foreign individuals also to come through. So in some sense, it's a very welcoming kind of a jurisdiction, and clearly a great initiative for welcoming more investors from the developed world as well.
And we believe that there'll be increasing focus on India investment opportunities, and GIFT as a gateway, right, to these investment opportunities is going to be, in my mind, one of the primary recipients of investor attention. And over the next 2 years, I think we've talked about how open interest is 20 billion, trading volumes 100 billion. I think these numbers will be very small in comparison to what we see, especially as the number of securities that become available to invest fundamentally increase over time.
So we have enabled the foreign universities here. Deakin University, Wollongong University, they have already launched here. They have launched the courses, and these are very high-class courses at the quality of their home jurisdictions at the fractional pricing, which is helping Indian students become competitive globally. While this is the additional talent pool for IFSC as well as all of India.
So in IFSCA, we believe that I think providing robust investor protection is a way to attract greater and greater quantities of investment and greater numbers of people who participate in this ecosystem. So we are happy to say that we are on this road, and we are looking for strong partnerships between the market players, the regulated entities, and the investors, along with IFSCA, to create a very transparent and a very robust and vibrant financial market in GIFT IFSC.